Hey guys, welcome back. I'm kind of late to this one, like a month late, so, you know, better late than never, huh? Today I want to talk about Sgt Johnson Survival. Not just the new evidence for it, but sort of like the topic in general, because it's something that over the past few years has started to come up more and more in discussions. Quickly though, I've got to just say a quick, huge thank you for 300,000 subscribers. That number is like genuinely discombobulating. I can't come up with another word for it. It's that crazy. Thank you guys, honestly though, so much for the continued support through Halo's long dry period. Like, seriously, it means the world to me. Stick around to the end to hear a little bit about a 300k special video that I'm planning. Also, I'm currently at Halo Outpost Chicago, so no doubt many of you may have met me already, but if you haven't and you see me, make sure to stop me and say hi. I really want to try and meet as many of you guys as possible and, you know, just thank you for everything. So, yeah. Anyways, back to Daddy Johnson. Did I really just say that? Anyways, let's roll with it. In the absence of, like, any comedic relief characters in the newer Halo games, I think people are really yearning for someone like Johnson to return and fill the role that he once did. Clearly, Palmer isn't quite working as a pseudo-replacement for him. What a shocker that is. But more on that later. I'm sure the main reason that you clicked on this video was for the new evidence, so, you know, let's get to it. What some people are citing as proof that Johnson may have survived really isn't, but let's take a look at it anyway. Before we do though, I want to give a quick warning. If you're currently reading Halo Renegades or planning on doing so soon, major spoilers ahead. If you do want to listen to the entire audiobook version for free, then sign up for an Audible free trial using audibletrial.com/HiddenXperia, link in the description, to also help me out at the same time. It's really a win-win scenario. But anyways, everyone's optimism was sparked by a tweet from Crisper Storm last month, who simply was wondering how differently Halo 3 would have played out if it were developed by 343 as opposed to Bungie. For example, whether or not Johnson and Miranda would have survived or still met their same fate. Honestly, a pretty cool topic of debate. Lord Frankie of Scotland himself then replied, noting that despite what happened to them in Halo 3, Johnson and Miranda are still around in the canon, just not in the canon that is set in Halo's modern day. Now, by this, he very clearly means that they aren't off limits from being involved in any new story that is set in the past that could either fill in gaps in their history or expand on their already existing characters. A new book or comic could very well come out that's set during the Human Covenant War that involves either or, much like Silent Storm, which is also on Audible. They won't be in any stories that are set in Halo's modern day, however. Or rather, they won't be in any story, at least alive, set any time after their death, for reasons that I really don't think I need to go into. Fellow lore YouTuber Installation00, who you should definitely check out by the way, link down below, then teased Frankie saying, technically there are a few ways that Johnson could have survived his death, to which Frankie replied with this, complete with a Dumb and Dumber gif to give everyone a bit too much hope. I'll let what he said just mull over for a few seconds, give it a good read and digest it real good. So you're telling me there's a chance? Nah, sorry, don't want to burst everyone's bubble, but I am 99.9% sure that there is no chance whatsoever, and that Frankie was simply just being Frankie, playful and sarcastic. But, to humour the 0.1%, let's equip our tinfoil hats, throw all sense out the window, and take a look at a few ways in which Johnson could have survived. After all, this wouldn't be the first time that he escaped certain death. So, the one and only way I think he could have survived is if the Sentinels whisked him away to safety just after Chief escaped the control room, and also just before the Halo fires. What I'm thinking is because their Halo is, like, currently tearing itself apart, and because their previous master, Spark, is now dead, their orders to kill any meddlers they encounter, so Johnson, is in effect cancelled. Now, I know that when Chief and Arby leave the control room, the Sentinels attack them immediately, but maybe the systems in the Halo ring that issue these orders weren't, like, totally destroyed yet, so some Sentinels were still being issued the kill order, and some weren't. Remember, we threw sense out the window, like, 3 minutes ago, so just stick with me here. With the Sentinels no longer hostile towards Johnson, maybe they recognized him as not only a reclaimer, but a reclaimer on the brink of death, and suddenly their internal programming, or whatever, kicked in, and they saved him. How would they save him? Well, they were right above the Ark, and as Frankie pointed out, maybe they tapped into the Ark's teleportation grid and teleported somewhere on the Ark to safety. However, the Ark wasn't actually safe, considering Installation 08 was firing directly above it. It's no longer out of range from the Halos, so unless there's somewhere on the Ark that we don't know about that provides the same level of safety from the Halos as the Shield worlds do, the Ark wouldn't be safe either. But for the sake of the video, let's say that the Sentinels managed to get him somewhere safe. Where could that somewhere be? Well, the only in-canon thing that I could think of, I think, is a Krypton. And if the Sentinels could fit in there with him, maybe their new programming could save him. They could get the same healing effects as the Protector Sentinels from the Shield world and Halo Wars and heal him back to full health, although the Protector Sentinels that were found on the Ark in Halo Wars 2 were only offensive and had no healing capabilities, but again, the sense is out the window, lads. If this were the case, then there is potential for him to be reintroduced at some point in all his former glory. But there is another way he could have survived, at least kind of. If his body was damaged beyond repair, he could have been composed and turned into a digital essence, essentially saving his soul and personality but destroying his body. Now, as far as we know, there are no composers stored on the Ark, so I'd put money on there being quite literally a 0% chance of this actually happening, but if it did, it'd create a pretty cool way to bring him back, hypothetically, as an AI. However, all composed beings are stored in the Composer's Abyss on Gamma Halo, a long way from the Ark. What I was gonna say was, if the Spirit of Fire crew maybe end up being in Halo Infinite, maybe they could have found this Johnson AI somewhere on the Ark after he was composed, and then used him to defeat the Banished so they could leave the Ark and arrive at Zeta Halo to support Chief, the Infinity, and everyone else against Cortana, but considering Johnson's essence would have been stored in the Abyss on Gamma Halo, it makes no logical sense. But then again, neither does any of this video, so you know what? You never know. At this point, anything's possible. With all that said though, quite frankly, as much as I love and miss Sergeant Johnson, I would absolutely hate if 343 pulled a guilty spark and were like, guess who actually survived Halo 3? It wouldn't matter if he came back as a human, or an AI, or like even a form of Promethean, like Spark did. I think it would be, honestly, the single stupidest story decision that 343 could ever make, and yes, even worse than bringing Cortana back. Halo 3's ending, and also, I guess, the ending to the original trilogy in general, has been constantly invalidated over the past few years, and this really would be the final straw. We thought that we defeated the Flood, at least on the Ark and High Charity, for good. We destroyed High Charity and fired the unstable Installation 08 above the Ark. It was a nice, resolute ending to the Parasite story. Even though the final words of the Gravemind pretty much directly hinted at their return somewhere down the line, this outbreak was contained and destroyed. Until Awakening the Nightmare, where all of a sudden it turns out loads of them actually survived the destruction of High Charity and the firing of the unstable Halo. So we didn't actually defeat the Flood at the end of Halo 3. We thought that we killed Guilty Spark, that annoying floating dickhead of a light bulb who just killed our boy Johnson at the end of Halo 3. Again, it was a satisfying, resolute ending to not only his story arc, but Chief's 3-game-long dynamic with him, and it felt even better considering what he'd just done to Johnson. But then came Primordium, and later Renegades, that suddenly announced, well, you didn't actually kill Spark. You destroyed his monitor casing, but he, or should I say his ancient human counterpart Chakas, actually survived. See what I mean? I'm not saying that those characters surviving is totally against the canon or anything. I mean, it's definitely a possibility within the canon, as these stories have proven, but taking a step back from the canon for a second, it invalidates so much. It invalidates the final two of the original trilogy's important story arcs, and if it were to happen yet again with Johnson, it'd then invalidate a third story arc's ending. And then at that point, with the Covenant also back, every loose end Halo 3's ending tied up so nicely would be totally and utterly invalidated. The ending wouldn't mean anything anymore, and in extension, I feel like the entire original trilogy story would be pretty watered down as well. The build-up to each story arc's finale would honestly just feel kind of pointless, because you'd know that you don't actually defeat the Flood, and you don't actually kill Spark, and Johnson doesn't actually die. Do you see what I mean here? I mean, I get why people want him back and all that, but I just think that it'd be an absolutely abysmal decision if it were to happen, but Frankie was definitely just being sarcastic. More stories and games set in the past that include Sgt Johnson? Hell yeah! I mean, I still really want a Contact Harvest game. That'd be like so dope and a great way to bring Johnson back without totally invalidating the canon. But new stories that resurrect him in some loosely canon way? Nah, you can definitely miss me with that. With Infinite, I really hope that the pilot ends up being a sort of Johnson-esque character who can provide some proper comedic relief. I mean, so far, he's had like 2 minutes of screen time, and people already love him like more than Palmer and more than most other characters in Halo 4 and Halo 5. So I'd say that we're one step there already. And so with that, I think I've said all that I really want to say on this topic. If you couldn't tell, I have quite a few strong opinions and beliefs on this topic. Johnson is not coming back in the modern Halo canon, and he definitely did not survive Halo 3. However, don't be surprised if we do get new stories set sometime during his life in the future. I mean, if you ask me, I think it's an absolute travesty that we are yet to get a game where Sgt Johnson is the primary protagonist. Why has that not happened yet? 343, make it happen. Once again, I just want to say a huge thank you for 300,000 subscribers. Like, honestly, just saying that number out loud is mind-blowing. It's crazy. All the big YouTubers that I used to watch when I was younger, all were like around this size, if not smaller. So the fact that we've hit, dude, it's crazy. Thank you guys so much. Like I said, I think that my next video, is going to be a proper 300k celebration video. And I mean, if all goes as planned, it should be a pretty damn good video. So look out for that within probably the next week or so. Also, remember to stop me and say hi if you see me at Outpost this weekend. I really want to meet you guys, and if you want a picture, I will try my best to be as photogenic as possible. I promise. So, I want to give the usual massive thank you to all of my amazing patrons who choose to support me over there. I really appreciate it. And thank you all so much for watching. Thank you once again for 300k subs, and I'll catch you in the next one.